Good morning, Birds fans. Kind of a weird Wednesday here on Birds 365. You got your Mac and Mac guys, Jody McDonald and John McMullen. And I say weird Wednesday because here on JAKIB Media YouTube channel, at least Birds 365 going to be off the next 2 days, Thanksgiving and the day after. So we're going to jettison ahead a little bit, take a little bit more of a look at the upcoming Sunday game than we usually do on a Wednesday. And that's why at least it's a little weird for me as I'm trying to figure out what the hell we should talk about for the next 2 hours. I'll be doing so with my partner, hopefully on the mend, on the recovery. John McMullen, you were a little under the weather yesterday. JM, still not feeling great?
Yeah, still recovering, Jody. Still getting back, but I'm here. That's all that matters.
Rehab mode. McMullen, the tough guy that he is, will suck it up and get it done for us the next 2 hours. JM, I know you didn't make it down to the Eagles defensive and offensive coordinators media gatherings yesterday, but you did jump in on the stream for those guys. Anything specific that was said by any of the Eagles coaches yesterday that jumped out for you, either in review of the game against the Colts or looking ahead to the Packers?
What I did, I thought it was funny that Gannon mentioned Aaron Rodgers, I think twice before anybody even brought him up. That's sort of the reputation of that guy around the league. It's amazing. So that was my biggest takeaway. From the Colts perspective, I think Shane Steichen knew, it wasn't a great day for the offense overall. And that's going to be a work in progress as they continue to move forward, try to figure it out without Dallas Goedert. Hopefully, it's not going to be longer than 4 games. We'll see as that shakes out. But yeah, I think they're still trying to figure it out with that's how important he is to that offense. And then just the ability to lean back on when things aren't going well. I never thought we'd be here on Thanksgiving, Jody. But when things are not going well offensively, just lean on the quarterback. And I think that's pretty amazing where the development of Jalen Hurts and what he means to this team. He won the game. He won the game.
Before the season started, it seems like eons ago, but truth be told, it was less than 3 months ago. We had no idea what kind of player Jalen Hurts was going to be. We all had our beliefs. We all had our leanings. We all had what we thought was going to happen. Nobody knew that Jalen Hurts was going to be capable of having the year that he's had right now, right there. Probably behind Patrick Mahomes, but with anybody else in the NFL for MVP type status, nobody saw that coming. And you are dead on right when you say, when in doubt, won't play the Jalen Hurts card. Let him take off, make a couple of plays with his legs. That's exactly what they did in those 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns that led them to a victory. I was on WIP last night, so I had my buddy, our buddy, BLG Brennan Lee Gouton on with me. And I asked him about the play calling in the offense, and I read the piece you did for JAKIB Sports as well. And you two guys were on the same page that you think, in addition to trying to figure out how the hell are we going to replace Dallas Goedert for the next however many games he's going to miss, but also that maybe, just maybe, the offense was trying to do a little bit too much because Nick Sirianni was keyed up for this game against Indianapolis.
I mean, that's how I took it while watching the game. I knew how keyed up he was for it going in, so I knew how important it was to him, even though he tried to downplay it, the week of. And I thought he did some uncharacteristic things that he typically doesn't do. So I thought he pressed a little bit, And it's interesting, if Frank Reich was still there, it probably wouldn't have happened. I think he wanted to win even more because Jim Irsay fired Frank Reich. And I think it hurt him a little bit, to be honest.
You think it manifested itself in the play calling by both he and Shane Steichen?
I think it did. I think the game plan, too many bells and whistles to try to make up for Goddard. They had all these different packages and, takes a village type thing. No, just rely on, your best players. Um, and I think there's, this has been such a good team. I think there's this mentality that whoever we put in there is going to do this, and it doesn't work that way. I mean, there are good backups, there are better backups, but backups are backups for a reason.
Yep.
And especially when you're talking about a star player, and that's what Dallas Goedert is, whether the national media's caught up to it or not. That's what he is. You're not replacing him, so you got to go about things in a different way. You got to lean on AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, or the running game with that offensive line. And I thought they had too many bells and whistles. Plus, there were some strange, fourth down calls, the timeouts, trying to press, trying to draw people offside late. I just thought he was pressing a little bit.
Maybe I'm not understanding. What do you mean by bells and whistles? Too many bells and whistles.
Well, he they do a lot of this four wide empty set, 5 wide looks. Typically with Dallas Goedert, who's really effective in those because he's such a great receiver. And they tried to duplicate that with, you name it, Boston Scott, and they had a lot of weird duos on the outside. So you would have maybe Boston Scott with AJ Brown, Kenny Gainwell with Devonta Smith, Grant Calcaterra out there. There's no need to do that, and especially in this game, Indianapolis is struggling, but I think their defense is better than people realize.
Yeah,
they have a very good defense. More of their issues are on the offensive side of the football, and I thought they maybe didn't pay enough respect to that defense and the realization that they're going to be able to shut down certain things on the outside that are not desirable from a personnel standpoint.
All right. Let's say they come to draw the same conclusions that you did while watching the game after they sit down, watch the tape, and break down what they did, what didn't work, what they need to do better, what they need to do differently. What do you think the game plan will be this week in comparison to what they did last week? Now, you have to take into account that it's a different opponent, too. You're just not going to roll out the same thing. The Eagles aren't that good offensively that they can just say, well, here's our offense. We're going to do it, and you're not going to stop it because we're just better executing than you. But if they saw certain things on the film afterwards that they said, all right, we forced this, we tried to do a little bit too much of that, what do you think they either skim back on and or change going into this week against the Packers on offense?
I think they got to simplify it without Dallas. And like I said, you got to rely on your best players. You got to rely on A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Miles Sanders. And I think there's this mentality of spreading the football around makes you more dangerous. And in theory, I get it. But when the drop off is that significant, maybe it doesn't. So I think you instead of, assuming we have all these weapons, and that's what one player can do. We talked about it with AJ Brown, sort of the final domino. All the pieces fell into place. Well, now you don't have one of those pieces. Maybe not the most important, but the second most important. And now the assumption is, all right, we're just going to insert Jack Stoll, insert Grant Calcaterra, insert Tyree Jackson. And they have to play, don't get me wrong, but they don't have to be involved in the targets and the traffic and things like that. It's kind of what I'm saying. They don't have to be involved in that stuff. Now, if somebody's double teaming A.J. Brown and it comes that way, in other words, don't force it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I thought there was too much forcing of the football in certain directions early in the game, and they didn't. And it goes back to the running game, which Philadelphia fans love. I mean, why are they not running the football all of a sudden? That is probably the bigger aspect of it. Why are they not running the football? Why are all these 4 and 5 man, 4-man looks, 5-man empty set looks? Now, and Jalen Hurts is a big part of that running game, and he was very effective, certainly very effective in the fourth quarter when it mattered. But the traditional, as I would call it, running game, where's that gone, Jody? Why is that not a part of this without Dallas Goedert?
If you're talking about formations, I get it. But in actual throws, which kind of at the end of the play, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, more formations. It was more formationally. It's
Right.
like, why are you like, they're not scared of certain people on the outside. So, in the book now, sometimes you're doing those looks for just that's what they run quarterback draw with
Yeah, I was going to say that helped with the touchdown play because the Colts had not seen that look all day, and
but they were snipping it out,
part of the Red Seas,
and that's where Shane Steichen deserves some credit because they were snipping that out when they went empty. It was probably going to be quarterback draw, not early in the game, but they were still trying to throw the football when Jalen kind of said, you know what, I got to put this on my shoulders. And they were looking quarterback draw, quarterback draw, quarterback draw. And all of a sudden they bring, I forget if it was Boston. I think it was Boston. They motioned him back in. So it wasn't an empty set on the touchdown. And the Colts were fooled by it because they thought, all right, they're going to run a play. They're not going to run the quarterback draw. So that was a nice adjustment by Shane Steichen. But yeah, overall, I thought they pressed too much on offense. They didn't rely. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the old saying.
Of the 23 passes Jalen Hurts threw, 16 of them were to Smith and to Brown. So that's targeting your guy. They got 16 of the 23 passes. So it wasn't like they were forced.
Yeah, I meant more. I meant more formationally. And they were trying to do it early, but I meant more formationally. And it's just not scaring the opposing defense. So, take advantage of your offensive line. Take advantage of arguably the best part of your team. That's what I would.
All right, then here's a question too. Arguably the best part of your team, offensive line. You said it, you believe it, right?
Yeah.
When the Eagles win the coin toss on Sunday, why don't you put the best part of your team out there first? The Green Bay Packers are not great at stopping the run. Their defense is bottom half of the National Football League. They do have this guy who apparently the defensive coordinator still holds in very high regard, as does John McMullen, as does Jody McDonald. Good to know Shane, Jonathan Gannon's with us. Why not put the offense out there first and say, yes, you guys helped us come from behind, win the game, push down the field, 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes. Here's the reward. Our big guys get to go out and run block the Packers right down the field to start the game. How about that for an idea, Nick Sirianni? What's the chance that happens when the Eagles win the coin toss on Sunday night?
0.
See that? Yeah, I'm sorry. That annoys me. That annoys me no end that they make the decision solely based on numbers on a page. And they don't apply it at all to the 2 teams that are going to be on the field playing on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm with you in general. I think there are opportunities, and I go back to the playoffs last year in Tampa Bay. I would have, if I'm winning the toss, I'm taking the football. That was a different time frame for the Eagles. They were a significant underdog. I was trying, Jalen Hurts wasn't playing like Jalen Hurts is playing now. When I have the best team, I do want to defer. I want to defer. And the Eagles have the best team more often than not. Now, if Buffalo or Kansas City were on the schedule, especially Kansas City, I might have a different take on that because I want to shorten the game a little bit. Minnesota did it. They won the toss and they took the football. 3rd play, strip sack, Micah Parsons, 40-3, Jody. So, look, coin tosses, whether you defer or don't defer, aren't going to win you football games. But by and large, sort of like analytics in baseball, launch angle, that nonsense. If you score at the end of the first half and you get the football in the second half and score again, you're going to win the game. So 92% is the last number I saw. It's not just the Eagles.
Right.
The vast majority of the league does this, and they do it for that reason.
And I think it should be on a case-by-case, game-by-game, matchup-by-matchup basis, not by rote. And I believe the Eagles do it by rote. And I would have the same criticism about any other team. This is not an Eagle thing. This is an NFL thing for me. There are times where you want the football first. You want to make a statement. You believe you're going to move it against the other team's defense. You don't have to throw your defense out there first. I'm sorry, it annoys me, and it'll annoy me again Sunday when the Eagles win the coin toss, because they basically win it every week. They're 9 for 10. So why should this be any different?
They rep it, Jody. They practice the coin toss.
They do. They work hard on it.
Is
that part of Walkthrough Wednesday? Is that today's activity?
Yeah, they are having a walkthrough today, so it is walk. We're at that time of year where it's a scaling back of practice. I think we might see walkthrough Wednesdays for the rest of the year. I think we might.
Every Wednesday?
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's getting to that stage of the season. Shoot, what game was it this weekend? Who went into overtime this week? I forgot. It was one of the late afternoon games. But they go out for the coin toss, and one team sent out their kicker and the other team sent out their punter for the coin toss. And I said, what the hell? You're not going to send your quarterback out for when the Eagles do this on Walkthrough Wednesday? Is it Jake Elliott going out for is this an NFL thing? I never noticed it that way before.
The Eagles send out their captains, for coin tosses.
Who's the special teams captain?
Who is the special teams captain?
It's Raiders Broncos. Yeah. Daniel Carlson went out, and
that's weird. That's weird.
It was. Because I was on the air. I was on CBS at the time, and I just looked up at the screen. And here comes the tour. Who are these guys? I didn't recognize either one of them. I had to check the numbers. It was the punter and the kicker. I didn't understand that a little bit. Anyway,
Jake Elliott is the special teams captain.
Jake is?
Yeah.
Oh, so he would get to go out.
I don't think I don't see Jake out there too much on the coin toss.
No.
It's usually Brandon.
Oh, I know why Jake's not out there. Because he knows the Eagles are going to win the coin toss, so he's warming up because he knows he's got to kick off. He can't be wasting that time going out to the predetermined coin toss, which the Eagles are going to win ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not as immersed in the coin toss as Jody McDonald.
Yeah, I am. It's something that bugs me. It's underneath my skin, and I can't get rid of it because I think the Eagles do it with giving it zero thought whatsoever. And I think it's just another thing that got to be contemplated. Kind of like going to that many different formations, sans Dallas Goedert. The Eagles put a lot of thought into that on Sunday, even though Johnny Mac didn't like it. All right, he is John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We got two of our good contributors joining us today. Hour number one, mere matter of minutes. Our buddy Mike Gill from the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN down the shore, going to jump in as he usually does on Wednesdays. And then in hour number two, we're going to have the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles en Espanol, Ricky Ricardo, Eagles play-by-play guy on their Spanish radio network, and also host on WIP, will jump in, talk some birds with us in hour number two. But up next, on Birds 365, Mike Gill joins Mac and Mac.